I'm trying to play motherfucking Dark Souls again. Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm intrigued. I forgot I'm in an actual cool or a good spot right now. We just unlocked this part, so now all we gotta do is explore. At the moment, right? Ooh. I remember there's a fucking dude here and he's actually terribly hard. Fuck. No, dude. No way you see me. For real? Fuck off. Alright. No. Dude, I'm not warm at all. And you put me into this fucking situation? Ah, shit. Ooh. Okay, dude. Fuck. Fuck, buddy. Chill out. Stab. Who the fuck asked you to kick? Jesus Christ! I know it wasn't me. Oh, fuck. What's up, Twitch chat? How are we? How are we? How are we? How are we? What if we go this way? Tongue required ahead? Buddy, do I? Oh my god. Alright. I still need more stamina. I just upgraded my stamina stat. Jesus Christ. I'm getting deleted by this bitch. Third time's a charm, right? Who? Ooh. Damn! Jesus Christ, bro. I'm getting shit on. Oh. Hold up, though. Okay, that is a sweeping, which is kind of nice. I just gotta dodge everything. Because it can low-key stagger them. And I just hit him. Fucking roll away. Oh, fuck! Fuck! Dude, fuck this bitch. I can't. I can't. Oh my goodness. What up, Ashley Murray? How we doing? Is that Bradley or Tyler, bro? That'd be crazy. Fuck it, dude. Run. There's 3? Oh my god, how does this fucking game expect me to play? Holy moly. Is it one of those ones where you just kind of gotta get the fuck through? Oh my god, my sword. Dude, I can't. This shit is ass. Damn. Message retracted? What did you say, bro? Can't take it from me now. Gotta say it. God damn! Dude! Get away! God damn! Oh my god! What is this place? Am I like not supposed to be here, bro? I'm fucked. I can't do this. Oh my gosh. God. This is terrible. What is that? What is that little symbol there? Do we know? What is that? Like the one under my fucking... Oh. Under my health bar. Or stamina bar. Oh my god, you pussy. Fuck me. Absolute nightmare. Alright, bro. Whoa. Okay, dude. What's over here? Oh, it's forcing me over here. What do I do, dude? What the fuck? What is that? Fucking Yoda, dude. Oh my god. I hit my B button. The fuck? You know? Okay, yeah. Fuck you! You just have to spam it, dude. There's no other way. I have to unlock this stupid ass way. I'm beating all these motherfuckers. This bitch slapped the fuck out of me. Oh my god. Fuck you! Alright, I just have to shing my way through, bro. I didn't want it to come to this, you know? But I don't even have time to do anything. And all my attacks fucked them up pretty quickly, so. Damn. Yeah! Get fucked, bitch. Absolute dicked, bro. Okay, now we have to worry about the other one. I bet if this thing drops a weapon, it's a fucking good one. Because, what the hell? Woo! Oh, you bitch. Dude, I gotta parry them. No, bro! Oh, you're so gay. What do you mean, bro? It's personal now. It's war. It's war. It's war. It's war. No, not you, you fucking bitch. Oh. No way I did that. Okay. Oh. What the fuck did I... Oh. Dude, this game. Oh my god. It's personal, bro. It's personal now. Go, go, go. Go, 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 go. I gotta lure the one bitch over here. Hold on. What's the parry button? Dude, I don't wanna. I'm scared. I'm gonna fucking choke. Okay, okay. Alright. Parry! Oh shit! Ooh! Parry! Ooh! Dude! Ooh! Bitch! Oh. Okay, alright. Oh no. No, 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 no! Bitch! Oh, okay. Now I just have to do that to 3 more. That's all. Can I lure this guy out? Oh no. Alright, just fucking... Hey. Bitch. Do you always call the other one? Come, come, come. Don't make the other one come. That shit is not cool, bruh. Not a gentleman's game. Oh no. What? You can... Whoa! Okay, alright. Reset, reset, reset. Let's go. No, I'm not going over there, you bitch. No, I'm not going over there. Fuck you. I know you dumb games. Shing, shing, shing! Oh, oh, oh. Oh, you're bad. You're bad. Alright, dude. 3rd one. Damn! Reset. Bitch. Bitch, bitch. No! I'm choking! I'm choking! Yes. I'm sad. Alright. Let's get real. It's personal. Pardon me, bitch. I'm not scared of you anymore. Okay. Dude, what if I just roll into her? Like, I don't know what else to do, bro. Fuck. Dude, I fucking hate this thing. Okay. I'm not gonna risk getting another bitch. Dude, this is so gay. I can't. So annoying, bro. What? Dude. Okay, I guess. Oh, what? I knew it fucking dropped the weapon. Yeah, whatever, dude. Fuck your mother. Dude, it punishes the shit out of you. Oh, no mercy, brother. Zero. No mercy. Here it fucking comes. You're a bitch. Straight up. Okay, one more. Holy moly. I did not know how to do that before, but I just tried it out and it worked. Pussy. Dude, now I have to go through this whole thing with 3 fucking Estus flasks. Alright. Fucking make the best out of it. These things are only annoying for the reason... Oh. Okay. Is it close range? Okay. Good to know, good to know. Oh. No, bro, I can't do this again! I want to use his fucking sword, dude. I want to see what it's all about, bro. Fuck this bitch. Oh, what's this? Doesn't seem so cool, bro. Whoa! Alright. What up, massive macaroni? How are you doing, dude? Yeah, I'll take it one bit. Well, honestly, dude, maybe you should give it to somebody else, because I don't even know how to cash those out. I'm not really sure what to do with those. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate you, dog. You're the goat. Do you play Dark Souls? This is my first time going through it. What do I do, man? I played it over 10 times? Damn! That's kind of crazy, dude. You must know everything. Do you remember this? Because these people are bitches. Am I like too low of a level? Like, did I get here unintentionally? Or, is it kind of chill? Like... Fuck you, bitch. What level are we? I don't know. Oh, 43. I see. 43. Yeah. Oh no, I fucking summoned both. I'm being a dumb idiot. I should activate one of those ember things. Oh, dude, fuck! would help if it was higher. I think the level up your weapon, your level is good. It's +2, but yeah, I haven't leveled it up in a minute now, I think. Come on, bitch. Oh, right. That wasn't the button I meant to hit. That's also not the button I meant to hit. Meant to kick, yo. Chill. Oh my god. Oh shit. Punished, bro. Goodness gracious. Anger, anger. Ooh. Dead. One golden advice, roll inwards instead of away. Okay. I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, bro, what if I have to roll into this person? Always? Every time? Like straight at him type thing? Most of the time? Damn. Okay, what if it's a crowd? What if it's a crowd, though? The big bosses, it's always at. Small enemies roll inwards and behind them. Oh shit. Alright. Oh, I have no fucking souls, bro. Do I? Possibly. Should I just stick to one weapon and level it up type of thing? Is that kind of the idea? And like learn that one for the rest of the game? Cause I like going through each weapon, but I don't know how to upgrade them all, bro.
What?
Aww. What do I need? Twinkling Titanite? Are we gonna go on a mission?
Be careful. I don't want to see my work squandered.
No, I didn't mean to do that, bruh. Damn. I don't think I've seen this place before, dude. Where even are you, bro? don't understand.
In my hips. Hey guys, it's XRYT.
Oh yes, it's a
Today
kid.
I'm gonna show you three
the best.
early Twinkling Titanites. So first off, we need to come down here, turn left, then talk to the trader over here. Then you need to purchase this and this. Only 810 souls. Next, you need to come up here, turn left, and go through here. Then you need to do the tree skip, which I'm so bad at. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright guys, now we are here. All you need to do is open up your inventory and drop this.
Let's hear it.
GameRanks presents the 10 things you need to know when starting a new game in Dark Souls 3. Because let's be honest, the Souls series is notorious for not holding your hand. And that's great. It shows that From Software has a level of respect for its players and fanbase that is rarely seen in video games. A faith that players are smart enough to figure out its mechanics without overbearing tutorials. That being said, Dark Souls 3 changes a lot of stuff up and there's a lot of new things to take in all at once, especially for newcomers to the series. So, to help you guys out, let's kick off this countdown with number 10. Weapon arts are special attacks or abilities that are activated by pressing the left trigger. GameRanks presents the 10 things you need to know when starting a new game in Dark Souls 3. Because let's be honest, the Souls series is notorious for not holding your hand. And that's great. It shows that From Software has a level of respect for its players and fanbase utility that no other weapon or weapon type has. So, for example, let's say you have a claymore and you're going up against an enemy with a giant shield. For most characters, you'd have to deal with this by getting up close and using a lame kick or a shove to knock the shield away. But with the claymore, you can use a powerful weapon art attack that will blast away the shield if they block, and even if they don't, they'll still take big damage. Even bows have new weapon arts that make them even more powerful than before. Short bows can go into a rapid fire stance to do light damage extremely quickly and finish off an enemy that's just a pixel or two away from dying, while longbows have a sniper shot that deals big damage but with a very long startup time. Going into Dark Souls 3, you should always experiment with the weapon art of a new weapon whenever you pick it up. Not all of them are useful, and since they use up focus points, they can actually be kind of detrimental. But they often provide something that will make certain battles that would normally be very tough, much easier. In at number 9, one of the holdovers that Dark Souls 3 took from Bloodborne is the ability to charge up your heavy attacks, making it ideal for weapons with long reach to catch enemies that are coming in. Unfortunately, you won't be able to stun enemies by sneaking up on them and hitting them with a fully charged heavy attack like you would be able to in Bloodborne. However, one trick that will work is backstabbing an enemy, then starting to charge your heavy attack to its max so that it lands as soon as they get up before they get a chance to do anything about it. In fighting games, we call this a meaty attack. Fortunately, you don't have to worry about wake up Shoryukens. For number 8, let's just rapidly run through a number of ground rules that still apply in Dark Souls 3. For Soul Series veterans, these will all be familiar, but newbies take note. Either learn the telltale silence of the Mimic or smack all chests once before opening. You don't want this to be you. In the Souls game, stamina management is key. You should always try to leave at least a sliver of stamina whenever you're up close in order to roll away from a counterattack. Backstabs are amazingly effective ways to take down a tough enemy. Remember to lower your shield before going for them or it won't work. Smack suspicious looking walls to check for illusory walls. This is different from Dark Souls 2 where you just had to press a button to try to open the door. Manage your equip load. Wear a bunch of heavy armor and weapons and you'll be stuck with a nearly worthless dodge roll. Raising your vitality stat will allow you to wear heavier armor without the movement penalty. Keep all of these tips in mind and you'll be on your way to overcoming Dark Souls' uniquely steep difficulty curve. Number 7. Magic, pyromancy, and Miracles all work very differently in Dark Souls 3 compared to prior Dark Souls games. And in fact, it's kind of a return to the way things worked in Demon Souls. You now have what's known as a focus meter, which governs all of your special abilities. New spells can be purchased, transposed, or found out in the world, but in order to actually use the spell, you'll need to attune it at a bonfire. In order to attune more spells, you'll need to invest a bit in the attunement stat. Any class can learn spells, pyromancies, and miracles, but only the Herald, Assassin, Sorcerer, Pyromancer, and Cleric classes actually start with any spells right off the bat. If you want to dip your feet into spellcasting without being one of these classes, you'll need to find not only a spell for you to use, but also a catalyst. Spells utilize staffs, pyromancies go through the pyromancy flame, and miracles use chimes or talismans. Number 6. You can always count on From Software to revamp the way you restore health from game to game, and Dark Souls 3 is no different. Dark Souls 3's Estus Flask system is similar to how it worked in Dark Souls 2, where you start off with a small number of flasks, all of which are restored when resting at a bonfire, and in order to increase them, you must find and turn in Estus shards. But the big difference this time around is that you can actually allot your Estus usage to restore either health or focus points. So, just know that if you plan to make a character that's a straight up mage, you might have to sacrifice a few health restoratives in order to ensure that you have enough focus points to keep up your offensive capabilities until you reach the next bonfire. Number 5. After defeating the second real boss of the game, you'll get an item called the Transposing Kiln, which you can take back to the Firelink Shrine and give to Ludlith, who's this short dude sitting on his throne. Doing so will enable you to take the valuable boss souls that you get from defeating bosses and transform them into badass boss weapons that are generally much stronger or have more powerful weapon arts than most of the normal weapons that you would find out in the world. Whenever you defeat a boss, always bring it back to Ludlith before using it for souls. You'll typically get a choice of about 3 distinct items that you can make per soul, and once you choose one, you'll miss out on the other options for the rest of the playthrough. So be sure you know which item will provide you with the most value before you transpose it. In at number 4, Embers are special items in Dark Souls 3 that are most similar to Humanities from Dark Souls 1. Using one will return your character to his or her enkindled state, granting max HP and the ability to summon other players. There may be a temptation to use Embers whenever you're out of Estus Flasks to act as kind of an extra healing item, but be careful, Embers aren't unlimited, and most shops only sell a small number of them. Burn through them too quickly and you may find yourself in a position where you really need help via a summon, but you aren't able to. Also note that being in enkindled form opens you up to invasions, so be careful with that. Number 3. Upgrading your weapons has always been a hugely important aspect of the Souls games, and in Dark Souls 3, it's thankfully easier and more intuitive than ever. All weapons, with the exception of certain unique and boss weapons, use the same materials to upgrade, so no more keeping track of what particular material upgrades what particular brand of weapon. Special gems can be used to infuse weapons with a certain strength. Like for example, fire gems will infuse a weapon with fire, reducing its regular base damage and scaling, but giving it fire damage. Before you infuse anything, make sure you've got a good handle on what that infusion actually does and whether it will actually help you in the long run. Pay attention to each weapon's attribute bonus. The better the letter, the better the bonus that weapon will get from scaling on that specific stat. If you find yourself with a weapon that has a really good scaling bonus for a stat that you're heavily invested in, you might want to avoid infusing that particular weapon with something that removes scaling in favor of more base or elemental damage. So mess around with it and find a weapon that works for you. If you feel like you've made a mistake with the infusion, you can use a Shriving Stone to undo that infusion and reset it back to its base stats.
Well met. 'Tis good to see.
It's not in.
Just don't make too many mistakes because Shriving Stones aren't easy to come by. Number 2. Firelink Shrine acts as your home base in Dark Souls 3, and as such, you should treat it like your actual home. Pay it frequent visits even if you don't need to upgrade a weapon, level up, or buy anything. Things constantly change in Firelink Shrine. NPCs come, and NPCs go. Make sure to talk to each and every one of them until their dialogue is exhausted. You can frequently get new emotes, items, or even further along a questline just by listening to what they have to say. Oftentimes, you'll pick up something in the field, not know what it does, and then forget about it by the time you get back to Firelink. Get in the habit of always going through your inventory, examining unfamiliar items, and seeing if there's anyone at the shrine that might be able to do something with it. And the number one thing you need to know before starting a new game of Dark Souls 3 is that you need to explore. Dark Souls 3 is a game where valuable secrets hide around every corner. Just because you start making forward progress or beat a boss, it doesn't mean that you should just push forward without making another sweep through the area to make sure that you haven't missed out on any important treasures. Rushing through the game is one of the worst things that you can do, as it will rob you not only of valuable items that will make the game easier in the long run, but you also run the risk of missing out on some of the best content that Dark Souls 3 has to offer. We're talking optional bosses, entire areas with new enemies and treasures, and covenants. God, we haven't even gone over the covenants. Dark Souls 3 is such a deep and complex game that these 10 things don't even begin to scratch the surface. But hopefully they're a good starter point and will give you some base knowledge that will be helpful in figuring the rest out for yourself. Because that's really the joy of the Souls series. It's that satisfaction of pushing through.
Hey guys, I'll come here with a quick Dark Souls 3 guide on how to farm Twinkling Titanite and Titanite Scale easy. Now I'm going to show you guys a little trick that I use. First of all, we're at Arch Dragon Peak at the Great Belfry Bonfire.
Yeah.
We're going to
Definitely have that.
Hello guys, quick and Titanite scales in Dark Souls 3. To do so, you must offer the Dragon Chaser's ashes to the Shrine Handmaiden in Firelink Shrine. The ashes are pretty easy to find, but obviously aren't available until quite late in the game. You must first have gained access to Arch Dragon Peak and made your way through the area to the Great Belfry Bonfire. When you're at the bonfire, continue further and you'll be in this sort of area surrounded by a lot of enemies. I'm just going to run through them for the video, but I'd recommend if it's your first time here to clear them out on the way and pick up any other items that you can find. So basically just stick to the left and then you'll see an opening to the side. Head into it and there will be a rock lizard rolling shithead here, and beyond him is a corpse with the Dragon Chaser's ashes, and then do whatever you want. Personally, I ran for my life back to the bonfire. So to use the ashes, head back to Firelink Shrine and hand them to the Handmaiden, and then when you next open up the purchase menu, you'll see Titanite chunks at 13,000 souls, Twinkling Titanite at 15,000 souls, and Titanite scales at 20,000 souls. Here it's probably important to remember that when you head into a new game cycle, which you may well do soon after acquiring these ashes, the Handmaiden's wares will reset, so make sure you stock up beforehand on all of these items. Anywho, that is how you can acquire the Dragon Chaser's ashes and use them to unlock unlimited Titanite chunks, Twinkling Titanite and Titanite scales. If you found the video useful, let me know via a like, comment or subscribe. As always guys, thanks for watching and take care.
I have beaten all Souls games without dying a single time. Do the math. That's right, 0 deaths. I have done this for years now.
0 deaths. 0 deaths. 0 deaths. 0 deaths. 0 deaths.
I have never died in a video game ever in my life.
0 deaths. 0.
People all over the world are amazed by my great gaming skills.
Mad impressive how Pude's got a 0 death run first time playing.
The most impressive thing is that he had 0 deaths.
Wow, I can't believe 0 deaths.
But some people think I'm a liar, and they say my 0 death runs are fake, and that I actually die all the time.
This sort of...
Hello guys.
Welcome home, Master. Very well, then take. Farewell, Asher Maiden.
just good. What? Pretty be careful.
Ashen 1.
Just what? Pretty big. Just wasn't it? Pretty big.
What up, pussy? Alright, well. I'm just getting really easy fucking boss right now. What? Damn. Oh my god. I don't understand. I don't understand. Damn. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh, hold up, I'm beaming hot. Hey! You just see me up on the stage. Ah, you know she's screaming hot. Bitch, I'm speaking. Really? Pussy. Oh my god, fuck you, bitch. Damn, you watching me in real life? You stream sniping, dude? God damn. Okay, and you got your little fucking friend, so you can come and snipe my ass. Real funny, dude. Real funny. Thank goodness. Don't speak. I know what you're thinking, and I don't need no reason. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't speak. I know what you're thinking, and I don't need no reason. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. No, no, no. Yeah, not so fucking tough now, pussy. Damn! I died again! Brother, stop it! I'm not happy about this. This is no good. Not happy. Don't speak. I know what you're thinking. I don't need no reason. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts.
If you've spent any time online, chances are you've encountered this infamous emoji character in some way, somewhere, at some point. His name is Emoticguy, a customizable smiley.
Hey everyone, it's me, Corteri.
GameRanks presents the top 10 Dark Souls 3 items you don't want to miss early on. Because look, we've all been there. Some things just slip past our radar for one reason or another. Maybe we got television and ignored an obvious shiny on the ground. Or maybe we made a mental note to come back to a hard-to-reach chest later and forgot about it. Oh my god! Regardless of the reasons, there are a bunch of items you can get really early on in Dark Souls 3 that will really help you out in this brutally unforgiving world. So, let's start with number 10. Right at the start of the game, in the tutorial area, if you veer towards the right, you should find a path that leads to this giant crystal lizard. Now you may take a look at this thing and immediately go, nope, nope, nope. But really, give it a shot. Killing this enemy will drop a Titanite scale, which is invaluable for upgrading powerful soul transpose weapons. If you're having trouble killing it, don't sweat it. Just don't forget to come back for it later. And at number 9, we have Titanite shards. Titanite shards are one of the most important items you can find early on in Dark Souls 3, as they allow you to upgrade your weapons, so make sure you never finish up on your build. I'm going to really quickly describe a total of 6 shards, which will be enough to get your starter weapon. First, down to the bonfire in the Cemetery of Ash, the first boss battle. This is the shards tutorial. The shard will always drop the first time you kill these transformed enemies with the Black Symbiote on the high wall of Lothric. You can't miss the first one as you're moving forward through the level, but the second one can be found by heading down the path that doesn't lead to the first dragon from the first bonfire and heading up the staircase. Don't kill them before they transform or you won't get the item drop. You'll find another shard around the corner from the second bonfire called Tower on the Wall, then down the ladder from where the first symbiote is. You can head through the doorway and to the left will be a shard guarded by a pair of enemies just waiting to ambush you. And from the location of the last shard, head back out through the hallway guarded by the knight.
That's the sword you have, bruh. Why am I not staggering you? God damn. Damn!
He'll put up a tough fight. You might just say it's good, it's not worth it. But if you're a Dex build, it absolutely is worth taking him out, as he will drop an Uchigatana, which is a fantastic weapon with one of the best weapon arts in the game. With it, you can enter a special stance that can either execute a powerful attack or parry an enemy strike without the need of a shield. Plus, it's just awesome to channel your inner Kenshin. Itan Mitsurugi style! Amakakari no Hiraki! Number 7. For those who prefer more of a strength build, one early weapon you want to make sure you don't miss is found just outside the spot where the dragon is perched on the high wall of Lothric. If you want to live on the edge, you can make a run for it while the dragon continuously spews fire, or you can just spend a few minutes putting a bunch of arrows for it, making it fly away, and then collect all the shinies. Making the dragon go away is a large Titanite chart. So hey, 2 items you don't want to miss for one.
I hate this shit.
Speaking of that dragon, just inside the room you started, you may notice a rope absolutely is not breathing, nor does it have a straight chain compared to the other ones that have a curved chain. Alright, it's a Mimic. And as any Souls series veteran knows, Mimics typically hide really good items in their bellies, so avoid getting eaten, avoid the hurricane kicks, kill it, and claim the deep battle axe, which will prove to be very helpful against enemies that lack resistance to darkness. Number 5. This next easy-to-miss item can be found early on in the high wall of Lothric, just before you go down into the first enclosed area. Head to the left instead and climb over the stairs. Go around the dragon and look down to drop onto a platform where you can collect some very handy gold pine resin. This item will enchant your weapon with lightning temporarily, giving you a huge boost in DPS that you can use to take out bosses that are difficult for a time. Number 4. Estus Plastic Shards. God, that's hard to say. Typically aren't that hard to find, but they can lead to some big problems for you. So just be sure to first is located in that workshop area on the anvil near where you found one of the Titanite shards from earlier. The next is in the Undead Settlement and is
If this is your first time playing a Dark Souls game, you'll notice there's not a whole lot of a tutorial at the beginning. The game's supposed to be vague, but it's kinda unfair for the game mechanics to be vague as well. For that reason, I wanted to make a tutorial to help new players get started. The notes found on the ground in the tutorial area really only show basic combat mechanics.
Oh my
This will get
god.
you through the first boss just fine, but you're gonna need to learn a little bit more to get through the entire game. Dark Souls can't be played like your typical action RPG, where you just run up and start whacking the enemy till they die. You're gonna have to play carefully and be observant if you want to survive. Whenever you discover a new enemy for the first time, you want to play defensively. As they try to hit you, you'll start to notice openings in their attack patterns. Once you learn these openings, you can start going for attacks when they leave themselves open. Sometimes their attacks even leave them vulnerable to backstabs. Once you really learn an enemy's attack patterns, getting the timing right on your parries becomes easy. While it seems intimidating and for good reason, it's important to remember that even some large bosses can be parried and even riposted somehow. If you can't get the riposte off on a boss, don't worry, because there's still a vulnerability when they're parried. You'll know for sure you're doing extra damage if you hear this sound. If an enemy's attacks deplete your stamina while you're blocking, your guard will be broken. However, most enemies can also have their guard broken. Kicking an enemy while their guard is up depletes more of their stamina than just attacking them. Some weapons also have block breakers as part of their weapon art. Those make it easier to break the guards of stronger enemies with more stamina. Once their guard is broken, they're vulnerable to critical hits just like they would be if you parried them. There's also several attacks you can do while maneuvering, some examples being the sprint attack or the dodge attack. Both are executed by doing a light attack after sprinting or dodging respectively. If you do a heavy attack out of a sprint, you'll do a jump attack. The same move can also be done by attacking forward and heavy attack at the same time. Doing it like this requires less space but more skill. If you use backstep instead of rolling, your character will do the sprint attack instead of the roll attack, which is better depends on the situation. The tutorial also doesn't tell you that you can charge up your heavy attacks. Once you're confident you know what a weapon is capable of, it's important to be aggressive when you're fighting it. Take advantage of every opening you see, especially on large enemies. If you keep the pressure on, it'll stun them. This lets you riposte them as if you just parried or broken their guard. For most enemies, you initiate the critical at their head. You want to be careful not to use up all your stamina though. If you do and the enemy decides to attack you, you'll be unable to dodge. A lot of the stats seem pretty self-explanatory, but some of them have extra effects that aren't quite so obvious. For example, Vigor raises your maximum health, but it also increases your resistance to frostbite buildup. Some enemies will apply this effect whenever they hit you. When they do, a meter will start building up showing you your current frostbite level. When that meter fills up, you'll lose a large portion of health and have some of your resistances lowered. All status effects work a very similar way. Having higher resistance to a status effect makes that bar bigger, so it takes longer to build up. Next we have Endurance, which typically governs how much stamina you have. However, it also reduces lightning damage taken and gives you some bleed resistance. When your bleed bar fills up, you're going to take massive damage, and it can sneak up on you sometimes. Vitality raises your resistance to physical damage and also increases your equip load. If the weight of your equipped items is over 70% of your max equip load, you're going to get a slow roll. Making sure you have a fast roll is essential in combat. Dexterity is clearly the modifier for dexterity-based weapons, but it'll also reduce fall damage and reduce the cast time of spells. The last of the primary stats, Luck, governs how often items drop in your world. On top of that though, if you have a lot of luck and you use bleed or poison weapons, those poisons and bleeds are going to build up faster. It also gives you resistance to curses, which will insta-kill you if they build up all the way, and there are a few weapons in the game that actually scale with luck instead of dexterity or strength. The last and probably my favorite stat is poise. Having a lot of poise increases your resistance to staggering. If you get hit while you have low poise, you're going to not move around a lot. If you get hit while you have high poise, you're going to have more freedom to act. The armors that have the best poise, however, are also usually the heaviest. There's a lot of different weapon types in Dark Souls, and they all behave differently. The type of weapon you decide to pick is up to you. First, there's daggers. They have super low damage but really fast attack speed. Their speed, however, doesn't quite make up for the low damage they do. Instead, the strength of daggers is in critical hits. If your timing for parries and block breaks is spot on, then daggers are for you, because all daggers have an increased damage multiplier for critical hits. Next, there's thrusting swords. These are all also rapiers in the game. Similarly to daggers, they have a high multiplier for critical attacks. The modifier is not as extreme as daggers though, and unlike daggers, its regular attacks are actually still worth using. Rapiers also have the ability to attack while the shield is still up. This allows for relatively risk-free attacks, but if you get hit while you're attacking, it still costs a lot of stamina. Straight swords are probably the most popular weapon type, probably because they're so versatile and easy to use. They don't have any special traits, but that's exactly what makes them good. They also generally have low stat requirements, so if you're looking for a weapon to supplement a caster build, straight swords are the best bet. They also generally come with the stance weapon art, which gives them a pretty easy way to break an enemy's guard. Curved swords behave similarly to straight swords, but they typically have a higher dexterity requirement, but also scale more with dexterity. However, this means that they will also have a lower base damage, making them only useful if you have enough dexterity. Attacks with curved swords typically appear more elegant or acrobatic. Additionally, instead of a kick attack, they have a quick escape that will deal a little bit of damage to your target as well. Gameplay-wise, katanas behave very similarly to curved swords. They also scale pretty heavily with dexterity, and most katanas also have a bleed effect. While the standard moveset for katanas looks cool, weapon art is what really separates katanas from curved swords. The katana weapon art is similar to stance from straight swords, except instead of a guard break, they have a parry attack. Axes and hammers both behave very much the same way. They usually come with the Warcry weapon art, which increases attack damage for yourself and allies in the vicinity. The Warcry also changes your strong attack to an alternate version, which is usually more aggressive. The basic moveset for axes and maces is usually slower than swords, but deals a little bit more damage. Spears and pikes don't really seem to have any difference to them, so I'm just going to treat them all like spears for the sake of this video. Just like thrusting swords, spears have an attack they can use while blocking. However, since they have greater reach and less of a focus on critical attacks, this makes them ideal for a defensive build. Most often, the weapon art for spears is a high damaging charge attack. Halberds seem like they'd have a lot of similarities with spears, but they're actually more geared towards an offensive build. While the attacks appear similar, they can't do an attack from behind a shield. Like spears, they have a long reach. Halberds, however, have access to more wide sweeping attacks, which are great for multiple enemies. Moving into the heavier weapons, great swords are just a step above axes and hammers. Their attack is even slower, but it also deals even more damage. To make sure the enemy doesn't attack you in between hits, though, it also deals more poise damage. Weapon art for great swords might vary, but they commonly have the stance weapon art. This is a Japanese game though, so you gotta have a class of weapons that are ridiculously oversized. Among these, ultra great swords are the fastest and most versatile. Naturally, these weapons require a lot of strength to use, but their attacks are absolutely devastating when they land.
Why would I do that?
While they don't have quite as much reach as halberds, they have wide sweeping attacks as well, which are good for multiple enemies. The sheer weight behind your attacks means a charged heavy attack will often land enemies straight on their face. The weapon art for ultra great swords is usually a sweeping uppercut attack, which will also send enemies flying. Great axes and great hammers are almost identical to ultra great swords, except for the fact that great axes usually have the war cry weapon art, and great hammers usually have perseverance, which increases your poise for a really short time. It falls off pretty quickly though, so it's kinda useless if you use a shield. Moving on to the more exotic weapons, reapers are probably a little bit similar to halberds. Their attacks have a similar wide reach and arc. It's kinda hard to explain exactly what role exotic weapons fill. They typically have a unique weapon art. Honestly though, as with most exotic weapons, I typically try to avoid using them unless you're going for style points. Other exotic weapons include whips, which have the longest range but also the lowest damage, and fist weapons, which have the shortest range but the fastest attack speed. If you want to dual wield, you can't just equip two weapons in your hand. Keep your eyes open for the special paired weapons you can find in the game. With these weapons equipped, instead of two-handing, you'll pull out a second weapon. This makes special dual-wielding attacks available if you attack with the left hand. Attacks with dual-wielded weapons are typically more acrobatic and flashy than the regular counterparts. The first ranged weapon you're probably going to get your hands on is a bow. There's an unmentioned separation between short bows and long bows. If you want to use a bow as your main weapon, you want to make sure you're using a short bow. The reason being that short bows can do dodge and sprint attacks. They also have a weapon art that lets you shoot a lot of arrows really fast. Long bows, on the other hand, are better for getting the attention of enemies who are far away. Their weapon art lets them do high damage with a single shot. It takes a while to charge up though, which is why it's not as useful in combat. Crossbows serve a similar purpose to bows, but they're a little bit more versatile. Because crossbows can be used with one hand, the game has two phases to firing a crossbow. First time hitting the attack button loads a bolt, and the second time fires it. This lets you ready a shot before a fight, and then fire it instantly once it starts. The weapon art is a shoulder tackle, which lets you stun enemies who get too close to you. Unfortunately, the weapon art isn't very effective. A great bow is essentially a long bow on steroids. Strength requirements are usually pretty high for them, and you also have to stand still while shooting. They need special great arrows to fire, and getting a hit with them can be a little difficult because of the time it takes to knock each great arrow, and that you can't move while you're doing it. But if you do hit someone with a great bow, it's guaranteed that you're going to knock them flat on their asses. Especially if you hit them with the weapon art, which is shared with long bows. Throwing knives aren't technically a weapon, but they deserve a special mention for being especially easy to use. They don't have any staggering power, but they have no wind-up and will throw instantly when fighting. This is great in PvP to get a ranged attack on the enemy without anything special. No matter what kind of spell you plan on using, it needs to be a 3-bar bonfire. The number of spells you can do depends on your attunement stat. There are also some rings that increase the number of attunement slots you have. You have to look carefully though, because some spells will take up 2 attunement slots. Sorceries need to be cast with staves. Buffs and support abilities are currently sorcery's strength, since the damage of the offensive sorceries is kinda underwhelming. If you want damaging spells, you want to look at pyromancies. There's only one pyromancy flame in the game, but it has no stat requirements, so it allows you to use it with any class. Pyromancy has some buffing spells, but its biggest strength is high damage AoE attacks. Miracles are cast using talismans and chimes. The only difference between the two being the weapon art, where chimes have a small heal and talismans have a poise boost. The biggest focus of miracles is healing and buffing spells for yourself and allies, but you also have access to some pretty strong damaging abilities. Small shields are lightweight but don't block a whole lot of damage. They're supposed to make up for this by having an easier parry, but it doesn't really work very well. As a result, you don't see a whole lot of people using small shields. If you still want to use small shields, you want to make sure you use it with an offensive build, since the shield itself won't provide a whole lot of protection. Regular shields are the most common and typically block 100% of physical damage. While some of them will parry, others will allow you to use a weapon out without two-handing your weapon. Great shields are characterized by high stat requirements and heavy weight, but also high protection and stability. Their damage is effective enough that they can be two-handed and used as a weapon on their own. In keeping with this theme, their weapon skill is a bash that won't lower your guard, allowing you to plow through enemies without getting scratched.
Okay, dude.
When you get to Firelink Shrine, you'll start seeing messages left by other players. The usefulness of each message varies, and you can disparage or applaud it as necessary. To leave these messages yourself, however, go to the menu bar and then bring up the Messages menu. This brings up a pretty basic messaging system, but if you hit whatever button you have assigned for Change Note Format at the bottom of the screen, this allows you to add conjunctions, an extra message, and even emotes to your message. Whatever emote you choose will show up as a little ghost on top of your message whenever anyone interacts with it. You can use this to direct other players up, down, or in different directions as needed. Or just make your messages sillier. Also, when you reach Firelink Shrine, you're gonna want to avoid spending all your souls leveling up. First, you want to use this vendor for a couple important items. Completing a boss in their world will reward you with embers. If you prefer to get your embers through PvP, go upstairs in Firelink Shrine and talk to this guy. He'll give you some consumable red-eye orbs which you can use to invade another player's world. Killing the host player will reward you with embers as well. If you keep checking on his location in Firelink, he'll also send you on a quest to get a permanent red-eye orb. The next item you want to get is the torch. You'll come across a lot of dark areas in the game, but also the fire damage and some other aspects of the torch will come in handy later. If you equip the torch in the main hand, it's easier to use as a weapon, as the fire damage is used a lot of times. But if you equip it in the offhand, you can hold it up by hitting the block button to reach on light. If you have more than 2 friends you want to summon, you also want to get the dried finger. But I'd recommend not getting it unless you do have 3 friends you want to play with, because not only does it open you up to an extra invader like the item description says, but it also makes the boss exponentially harder to summon the Phantom. Prism stones are another item available at the vendor and have a unique use that you might miss if you don't read the description. If you throw them off a ledge, they'll make a short clinking noise when they hit the ground. This means the ledge is safe to jump off. If you hear this noise though, that means the drop is guaranteed to kill you. Sometimes the stones will glitch out, so if you're ever skeptical, make sure you throw a few prisms. If a single one makes a noise, don't jump.
My god, dude, this fucking game, brother!
Every time you get invaded, you have a chance for a special item to spawn in Firelink Shrine. Because of this, anytime that happens, you want to go up to this area in Firelink Shrine. Most of the time it'll just be empty like this. Every once in a while, though, it'll...
Bro, his attack is so
Using
quick.
this during the invasion will make enemies in your world attack the invader as well. You'll also see a key in the handmaiden.
Oh my god, bro.
It'll take you a while to get enough souls, but when you do have enough souls, you want to get it for sure. After you have the key, you want to go up to where the giant tree was, and there will be a locked door that you can now open with it. Go to the top of the tower, and then when you get to a bridge, you're going to want to jump off on the left side. From there, run to the center of the roof, where you'll see a bird's nest sitting on top. There's a large list of items you can trade at this nest, but what you want to trade first is the homeward bone. Just make sure you hit leave instead of discard, and when you exit out of the menu, the homeward bone will be replaced with a couple of items, the more important of the two being the call over gesture. This is important for interacting with other players as it's the only one that makes any noise. When you kill a boss, you'll get a special soul. Hang on to that, as it's super important, because after you kill the Curse Rod of Greatwood, you'll get a transposing kiln. Take the kiln to Ludleth and Firelink Shrine. He'll use it to turn boss souls into special items for you. If a boss soul provides you with nothing you want, then you can eat it.
Damn!
This tutorial was helpful for some people. Remember to take it slow, keep your eyes open, and remember the locations of any locked doors you find. Keep honing those skills and you'll be surviving where everyone else fails around you.
Here comes the fucking wolves, dude.
The world of Dark Souls 3 is shrouded in secrecy. The game is packed with illusory walls, hiding not only valuable treasures, but sometimes entire gameplay mechanics that many players can. Fortunately, that's why I'm here. List off 10 secrets and Easter eggs in Dark Souls 3 that you don't want to miss out. Note that there will be spoilers incoming, so if you're not already through your first playthrough of Dark Souls 3 yet and are sensitive to spoilers, this is your last chance to back out now. Alright, well, let's start off this countdown light with number 10. The Firekeeper in Firelink Shrine is basically your best friend, always there to help make you stronger in exchange for souls with no strings attached. However, did you know she also responds to your emotes? Perform an emote right in front of her and you'll trigger a variety of reactions from her. She's only got a couple, like this bow, this cute little twirl, this little giggle that she does when you do something sweet looking, and this ashamed face like, I can't even look at you. It's disgusting. Number 9, the Mound Maker's Code. If you're like me, you probably got through the cursed rotted Greatwood boss, found this altar, and were like, oh well, I'm sure I'll find one of these vertebrate things later on, you don't know where to bring them. Only they never appeared. Turns out this altar is actually part of a secret covenant called the Mound Makers, and here's how to join it. Before you beat the cursed rotted Greatwood, follow this path from the big tree with the mob of enemies in the undead settlement, head behind the stables, and talk to, not kill, this cage bones spider. Doing so will pacify the upcoming enemy.
Oh my god.
From there, head back around the house to find a ladder to reach the roof, then drop off on the right side. Walk up to the giant guy with the cage on his back and interact with the cage to hop in and be taken to the shrine before the cursed rotted Greatwood boss fight. Here you can join the Mound Maker Covenant, which will allow you to invade or get summoned as a purple phantom, which can either engage in jolly cooperation or miserable betrayal. Note that if you've already killed the cursed rotted Greatwood before joining the Covenant, you still have a chance to join the Mound Makers if you kill Aldrich and return to the location of the altar where you should find a summon sign for Cirrus.
That doesn't sound good, bro.
Rosetta's Fingers Covenant. Help her defeat Holy Knight Hodrick, and you'll be rewarded with the Mound Maker's Covenant.
Jesus!
Smoldering Lake. This
Dude,
is
my
simultaneously
camera.
by most and least favorite areas of Dark Souls 3, but it's absolutely worth exploring. So, when you've marched on forward to Orphan after making it through the catacombs, you're going to want to double back to the High Kingdom Hole near Bonfire. Remember that rickety bridge you crossed on the way to the boss? Well, you can actually cut that bridge to cause it to fall, and then use it as a ladder to safely drop down to the platform below, leading you through a maze of caverns that eventually puts you in the Smoldering Lake. A hidden and
I
optional
see you,
area that is
bitch.
chock full of valuable items and even a boss fight waiting for you at the end. The most interesting thing about this area, though, is its connection to Dark Souls 1. All throughout the Smoldering Lake are corpses of captured forest and even stray things. These stones connections that only bosses live in Dark Souls 1. The whole area is like a nostalgia bomb, long-time fan of the series.
Holy shit.
Laddersmith Gilligan. So this is more of a little Easter egg than any sort of secret, but if you remember in Dark Souls 2, you probably know an NPC Laddersmith Gilligan who you can pay souls to in order to get the ladder that would save you getting down to the bottom of the pit in Majula, leading to the gutter. Well, in Dark Souls 3, you may notice that there are a ton of ladders around. And if you head up to where the bonfire is, there is the corpse of Laddersmith Gilligan. His final resting place would be the capital, as it's a location characterized by greed and avarice.
Damn, punished.
12,000 souls for a decent ladder? Fuck you, Gilligan. You deserve what you've gotten worse. Number 6, Aldrich's Faithful Covenant. Ugh. This covenant sucks. Well, I mean, the covenant itself doesn't suck. It's actually kind of neat. It's kind of like the Watchdogs of Farron covenant, but centralized to an Orlando rather than the Woods of Farron. But what sucks is the process of actually joining it. And if you're on the receiving end of invasion from it, you'll probably think it sucks too. Regardless, from the Pontiff Sullivan bonfire, head forward past the Sleeping Giants, and straight ahead into the left side of the room will be an illusory wall with a ladder that takes you down to fight 2 crocodile beasts at the same time. Should you manage to come out victorious, you'll be able to interact with Archdeacon McDonald from the Covenant. Wearing the Covenant item will occasionally summon you into the world of a player exploring the Anorlando area, regardless of whether you're actually in the area or not. Killing the host will net you a human dreg, which you can turn into the Archdeacon for some Covenant rewards. 10 will get you the Great Deep Soul Spell, and 30 will get you the Archdeacon's Ring Staff. The rooftop of Firelink Shrine. Previous video covering the 10 items you don't want to miss on Dark Souls 3.
Damn!
Sure, you can spend he unlocked
Golly!
that will allow you to bypass the tower key entirely. To do it, all you need to do is run up this tree and then jump off at just the right angle, and voila! Early Estus Shard, early access to Pickle P the Crow, you can go through the illusory wall at the end of the rafters to reach the covetous silver ring, and on the other side of the roof, you'll be able to find a crystal lizard. As far as secrets go, this is one of the most fortuitous in the game, especially early on. Now there is a chance that this will eventually be patched, even though I personally don't think it will be. I think this was a very conscious design decision to put a tree at that specific players and reward the ones with the skill and persistence needed to make that jump. Number 4, Archdragon's Peak. This is a rather late game secret, but it leads to one of the final optional areas in the game. In order to find it, you must defeat Osiros, the Consumed King, in the Consumed King's Garden, which is an optional area found after defeating the Dancer of the Boreal Valley and ascending the ladder into Lothric Castle. Upon killing Osiros, continue forward to reach a room with a corpse holding the Path of the Dragon emote. The emote is
Dumbass.
Follow this path to a dragonish looking thing sitting down.
Okay, I deserve that one, I guess. Oh my god, I didn't deserve that. Oh! Can't see anything. What the fuck? I'm gonna punch my screen.
Number 3, turning into a dragon. Yep, that's right. In Dark Souls 3, you can actually turn into a dragon. This is continuing off the last secret, so you'll once again have to gain access to the Archdragon's Peak. Once you defeat the Ancient Wyvern boss, you'll pick up the Dragon's Headstone, which is one of the parts that you'll need to make your transformation. The next piece can be obtained near the end of the area over at this cliff overlooking the mountains below. Use the Way of the Dragon emote once again to obtain the Twinkling Dragon torso. Now head back to Firelink and chat with Andre to receive a message from the Crestfallen Knight, letting you know that he wants those Dragon Stones and will be waiting for you at the Abyss Watcher's bonfire. Be prepared for a tough fight, as Hawkeye is a little fast and he loves to sip on those Estus flasks as much as you do. Once he's dead, you'll get his Dragon Stone, completing your set. All that's left to do now is to take off all your clothes, use one of the Dragon Stone items, and the transformation will begin. Once transformed, you'll be able to breathe fire, larger fire, activate a buff, and slam these dragon wings down by using the torso. It's not exactly dragon, but hey, it's nice to see the first Dark Souls to pop up throughout the games. Number 6, Legends of the Dark Moon Covenant. Probably the most serious.
No, dude, no.
Before people are dropping signs down on the ground, pointing everything out. The people who are finding these things so early are amazing and awesome. Anyway, you know that corkscrew elevator in Orlando? Look out past the broken wall on the elevator and you should spot, way off in the distance, a bonfire. Now, normally anyone would look at this and go, oh well, I guess I'll find a way over there eventually, and then move on. However, if you looked at this and went, fuck it, you'd find that rather than a painful death via gravity, you'll actually find an invisible bridge that can walk all the way across the bonfire in an NPC named Yorshka. In order to join the Covenant, you need to have obtained the Dark Moon loyalty gesture from Cyril Firelink Shrine. She'll be there after talking with Andre Lawrence before the sacrifices bonfire after killing the Crystal Sage. You'll also need to have obtained the Dream Chaser's ashes, which is found near the Watchdogs of Farron bonfire behind an illusory wall. After you give those ashes to the Shrine Maiden, talk with Cirrus again and you should get the Dark Moon loyalty gesture. With that gesture, you'll join the Dark Moon, which is essentially the world of created in order to rewards for this covenant include the Dark Moon Ring and the Dark Moon Ring. And finally, the number 1 secret of Dark Souls 3 is of course the Fire Stone, which sits at the conclusion of several quests. I don't know specifically how to trigger them. In order to get this end, you'll need to bring your own back to Firelink when you first reach the Undead Settlement. He's this weird looking fellow among the other dead.
Why don't my fucking buttons work?
He typically does this when you die a lot, which will increase your Halloween level, and you'll need to do this 5 times before killing Aldrich. Note that you should never, ever go to the Firekeeper and heal the Dark Sigil. Doing so will end this whole thing prematurely. At this point, after the 5 level ups, Yoel will die and will be replaced by Yuria of Londor. Next up, you'll need to meet up with Henri of Astora on the way to the Road of Sacrifices. Make sure to exhaust all of your dialogue with her. Then do the same thing when she goes back to Firelink after defeating the Deacons of the Deep. You'll spot Henri again once you reach the Catacombs of Karthus, twice in fact. Talk with her both times and exhaust the dialogue. After talking with Henri, head down to the Smoldering Lake, follow this path to reach Horus, and kill him dead. Now you're going to meet with Henri again at the Church of Yorshka bonfire in Irithyll. Same thing. Exhaust dialogue and do not kill the assassin in this room. Eventually you'll have to travel to Anor Londo and reach the Dark Moon Tomb. Next time you get a chance, chat with Yuria and she'll start talking about how your bride will be ready inside the Dark Moon Chamber at Anor Londo. Once you reach Anor Londo, make your way to the Dark Moon Tomb, speak to the pilgrim, and you'll bear witness to a very strange wedding ceremony. Finally, beat the game by killing the Soul of Cinder, and you'll be able to usurp the flame and achieve Dark Souls' most secret ending. And there you have it, 10 secrets in Dark Souls 3 that you're not going to want to miss out on. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully it revealed something that you didn't know before, and if not, well, there's always next time. Which is why you should subscribe right here to GameRanks, because we do awesome videos like this every single day. Yeah, 7 days a week. We don't need no weekends. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button to help us out, share this video around, and all that good stuff. I've been your friendly neighborhood Spidey, and I'll see you next time.
The Dark Souls series, in a span of a few years, has become a legendary series, and From Software since this awesome and mysterious game series has become even bigger with more fans than ever, we thought it was finally the right time to talk about 10 Dark Souls facts you probably didn't know. Starting off with number 10, some of you guys are probably going to get a kick out of this one. Early players
Dude. Oh my gosh!
And at number 9, here's something you might have missed. Demon Souls, the original. That means the level of character. Even when
I'm dead! Oh, bro. I'm getting dick.
For years, and it's safe to say that we should tip our hats off to him because the Dark Souls score is always amazing. It's just interesting for comparison's sake. Go back and listen to some of the old Tales of Vesperia battle themes and compare it with some Dark Souls music. They're all really great, but it seems like he really stepped it up for Dark Souls. And for good reason. The games sound absolutely freaking beautiful. And at number 7, here's something very odd that we came across. The Quiet Resolve gesture in Dark Souls 3 is from the Dark Souls 1. So, look closely. Do you see that? That's it. Another explanation, except that they pulled that directly from that trailer. What's even crazier is that Henri, the character who you get the gesture from near the Yorshka bonfire in the Valley, is wearing armor from the original Dark Souls game and from the trailer. Isn't that weird? That's all a really weird convenience, am I right? Also, God, do I miss the look of the Elite Knight armor in that game. And at number 6, we gotta give a shout out to the actual death metal band that exists called Soul Mass. This Florida-based
You're a pussy. I'm a pussy, actually. I don't know why. But fuck you, bitch.
Stuff like lyrics about the Abyss Walker, dying, hell, you know, stuff like that. And if you're into this type of metal with growling vocals, it's actually pretty good. And at number 5, there's a horror film, Dark Souls, that actually released in 2011, the same year as Dark Souls the game.
He's not chasing me, right?
Norwegian horror film is a horror mystery type movie involving mysterious victims having zombie-like symptoms. And a father of a victim kind of going down.
Whoa! What the fuck? Oh no. Oh, the trees are angry.
European Film Festival, despite receiving some mixed reviews. What are the chances, though, that a movie and a game of the same title
Oh my God.
I chalk that up as one big fat oops. I think that oops definitely goes.
No!
And at number 4, did you know that there's a Dark Souls cafe? Kind of a promotional thing before the launch of Dark Souls 2 in coordination with From Software and an Australian cafe company. It's got a very cool look to it. There's sets of armor, treasure chests, a bonfire, a bunch of themed stuff, a themed menu, dioramas, costumes, and the drinks come in bottles shaped kind of like Estus flasks. That's really kind of awesome. I want to get my hands on a glass. And at number 3, it's worth noting that Dark Souls wasn't fixed for a really long time. Basically, how weapons degrade in the game is based on frames per second. Averages around 25 frames per second. If you were playing on a high-end PC and playing at 60 frames per second, that meant that your weapon would degrade twice as fast and basically screw you over and make the game 10 times more difficult than it already is. The higher the frame rate, the more the weapons would degrade, and this was even the case in the current gen console version. The game with that bug in there. I mean, I guess if you think about it, challenge, there's more challenges. That From Software. In some ways, if you think about it, it's kind of a punishment if you're playing on better hardware. If your game can push out a max frame rate, it'll fuck you up in the game. It's a very interesting way of developing a game. I have to say. And part of the reason why it's so complicated is how to explain it. Over a year from the original launch of Dark Souls. It's crazy. It just goes to show that From Software does what they were as the fans said. Just recently, they made a statement. And at number 2, a lesser known fact about From Software.
Alright, do I fight this guy?
Actually helped with the Tenchu series. Yes, that Hellgate series. They're known for publishing Wrath of Heaven, Fatal Shadows, Shadow Assault, and Shadow Assault. They didn't actually develop any of these themselves. Shadow Assault. Of course, besides that, you guys probably know the other games they're known for, like Armored Core and Enchantment. Perfect. And number 1, Takagi is on record as making to experience for himself. He and his team put his faith in sticking to
No, bro. Damn.
You make the game
I'm getting fricked.
Doesn't follow trends and put things in its game just to make it like other games. It does exactly what it wants, from the difficulty to the way it presents the lore, even to how it doesn't deal with some bugs like I mentioned in number 3. That's what makes Dark Souls 3 special and unique. And honestly, that's why we love it. So thanks, Miyazaki-san. However, stop the presses. We have some bonus facts because there's never enough weird Dark Souls. The works that were rejected for legal reasons, Dark Souls was actually kind of like a last string choice. Before that, the last and most notable other choice so you can obviously guess why they didn't go with that name. And another fact, I thought this was pretty cool. There's a map out similar to that. It's called Soapstone, and it gives you a select choice of where you leave the GPS.
Dude, what is going on? Oh my god!
Facts you probably didn't know. There's a lot of videos like this out there, but we tried really hard to find some weird stuff. There's a lot of other interesting factoids about From Software and the Soulsborne series in general, so we want to hear from you guys some other tidbits you know. And what facts have you just learned about now from us? If you did learn anything, clicking the like button is a great idea because it helps us out so much, and we appreciate it. And if this is your first time here, subscribing is a good idea as well because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
The Souls series feels like it's been around much longer than it has been. That's not to say that 8 years is a short period of time, but it's gained a level of ubiquity surprising for a series that's been around less than a decade. The reason? For many, Dark Souls is hardcore gaming. It starts there, and in a lot of cases, finishes as well. The Souls games have consistently shown an expertise in level design and momentum-based controls. I'm Falcon, and today on GameRanks we want to detail the evolution of Dark Souls. Through 1996, From Software released a series of games for the PlayStation console called King's Field, which, if we're talking about where Dark Souls came from, we can't skip. It was a first-person game that was fairly slow-moving and depended a lot on strategy in a fairly sparse, brooding environment. The King's Field series had an extremely polarized reaction from both gamers and the press alike. It placed a focus on exploration and was not really what you would call an action-packed game, considering it was one of the first PlayStation titles. I mean, that first couple years the system exists, there were a lot more fast-paced games that kept people's thirst for more action-packed products quenched. That said, the people that liked it loved it. It had a certain ambience to it that you really couldn't get anywhere else, especially in the very colorful mascot platformer world of the 1990s. The same things that were criticized were often the things that people liked about it as well. For instance, some people said, the character movement's too slow, there aren't enough NPCs, the colors are dingy and dark. It's funny to hear that list of criticisms today, because that includes a lot of the things that we like about Dark Souls. It was clear that King's Field found an audience. However, it had a long way to go, as did From Software. They made games at an absolute breakneck pace for over a decade from that point, honing their craft, until in 2006, they embarked on the development of a game that they considered a spiritual successor. 2 years later, Demon's Souls was released for the PlayStation 3, where King's Field was a breath of fresh air for its dingy, colorless environments. Demon's Souls was competing with a lot of other games with similar color palettes. Everything that King's Field tried to do, Demon's Souls did. It's a game that prioritizes action and gives you an almost turn-based approach to real-time combat. You have to have a strategy in Demon's Souls. Progression is slow, and you find yourself repeating areas multiple times because you don't really know what's going on there. And herein lies the real charm of Demon's Souls, and indeed the entire series. It takes things that would normally frustrate you and turns them into a reason to play the game. In moving to third person and creating a combat system that heavily relied upon shields, dodging, and timing, Demon's Souls unified a lot of the concepts that many developers had tried to do for many years. This was an RPG that looked like an action game, and could be labeled an action RPG, but it's hard for me to call it anything but an RPG. It exemplifies the idea of creating a world and applying very specific rules that can be used in order to get ahead, but can also come crushing down on your head. Demon's Souls is a tough game, but believe it or not, that wasn't born out of a want to make it tough, but rather, director Hidetaka Miyazaki wanted to create a sense of accomplishment. He and his team went out of their way to create not just a difficult game, but a game with environmental symbolism that visually told you a story without getting too deeply into it. It also had a very interesting online element, but more interestingly enough, the single-player experience contained a connected element that showed the ghosts of other players that were nearby. In some respects, this could give you a hint as to where things were, such as maybe a hidden passage or a switch or a door. You could also see other people's deaths, and there were plenty of them because it was a tough game, by activating bloodstains left by other players. Demon's Souls wasn't fully an open world, but you pretty much had free reign to go where you wanted within the world of the game, and could sort of pick your own adventure as far as how you did it. And then there were the boss battles, gargantuan, grotesque, massive boss battles. Sometimes it felt harder to get to the boss than it was to beat the boss. But the most important thing about them was how unique every boss battle was. From Software set out to ensure that a boss was not a repetitive experience. A lot of intricate systems come together to make Demon's Souls the great game that it is. And from its namesake, Demon's Souls are used as the currency to upgrade your weapons and attributes. And you have to, because this game is tough. And it's not tough just to be tough. It's tough because it creates a world that has rules and then follows them. A lot of people may perceive it to be unfair on their first play, but once you spend some time in the world of Demon's Souls, things change. But Demon's Souls was only the beginning. A few years later in 2011, Dark Souls made its debut. Where Demon's Souls had a hub world that acted as access to many different levels, Dark Souls is an open world. Of course, you don't necessarily have free reign just to go wherever you want. Certain areas were off limits until you beat certain bosses, and the world felt bigger, more real, and at the same time made you feel smaller. In Dark Souls, you had bonfires, which acted as save points. They weren't sparse, but they sure weren't plentiful. And this is an example of the level design that has put Dark Souls above other games. They're so perfectly placed as to not feel unfair, not feel impossible, but to make you go, I hope another bonfire is coming up because I'm starting to run low on stuff here. And I would call that the general feeling that you have for most of the game. Not frustration, not helplessness, but urgency. At a bonfire, everything replenished. Your health, your spells, and unfortunately, all the enemies other than the boss. This is how the game worked. You were never allowed not to be on your toes. Fortunately, between Demon and Dark, the physics and accuracy and systems received a large amount of attention and polish. Dark Souls is a precision game. As I've already made abundantly clear, it does such a good job of making an action feel like a turn. Everything has to be done
Oh my
in a way
God.
that creates results, or your enemy will be the one who gets the results they want. An addition in Dark Souls was the Covenant system, which is an interesting idea that kind of plays out a little bit like a faction, or a little bit like a guild that one might join, but not quite the same. When you join one, you may get different benefits within the game world. Certain animals may ignore you, not attack, or certain traps might not spring. But not just for you. The game has similar online elements to Demon's Souls, but players who are nearby and in the same Covenant might feel the effects of a healing spell or miracle that you cast. Covenants can change the game wildly based on what class you are.
Dude, I
Or
fucking hate this
change
shit.
what you're getting out of the game. For instance, some of them drastically change PvP, and some change how you level up in certain classes. But I think perhaps the most interesting part was how to join them. The leader of a Covenant wasn't necessarily some guy waiting around somewhere. It could be anything. I think one of the more notable ones is a cat on a windowsill. What they tried to get across with this is that you can't always take everything at face value, especially when you're playing a game that's meant to mess with your brain. Dark Souls 2 came in 2014, and while its mechanics didn't necessarily see a whole lot of change, the world did. Dark Souls 2 world is significantly larger than the first, although equally as dense as the first, which is very important. If you just make a bigger world, it doesn't matter. Every inch of a world needs to have some level of immersion, and From Software always nails that. But Dark Souls 2 did something that Dark Souls 1 didn't, give you a little bit more of a reason to be doing what you're doing. Where the first depended more on a mythology, Souls 2 gives you more of a motivation. Just like your main protagonist, you've been cursed and are undead, but your motivation here is to break that curse. While the plot remains minimalistic, and still a lot of the world needs to be pieced together in your head through observation and the finding of clues and pieces of information, all of this is significantly more well developed in Dark Souls 2,
here, bitch.
with every zone of the open world following much more thematic reveals of information, and again delving into the history. Small little plot points scattered all around the different zones and entire world all interconnect to allow you to kind of create a theory as to what used to be. In a way, Dark Souls 2 makes you feel as though you are a detective, but you're not
This
just looking
fucking
for
game.
clues as to what happened. You're looking for a way not to become a husk of a human being with no thoughts, feelings, or motivations. You're looking to save yourself. We can't talk about Dark Souls 3 without talking about Bloodborne, so let's do just that. Bloodborne offers experimentation with
Get the fuck away from me!
to do after you make several games in a row that work
God,
pretty much how you
glued
want
to my
them to.
fucking
If you want to
character,
continue
man.
a series, it has to develop in ways other than here's more levels. Here's a new open world. Enjoy. Bloodborne takes the ideas of Dark Souls and asks you to incorporate agility into your approach and deprioritize shielding. In fact, I would say the lumbering shield yourself approach of Dark Souls and Demon Souls is almost unusable in Bloodborne.
Fuck
Bloodborne
you.
forces you to re-examine what exactly the combat system is, and forces you to learn a different rhythm. That being said, it's still the same strategy, you just have to incorporate a different way of protecting yourself. In a lot of respects, this is a fantastic idea, and what it does is forces players who maybe weren't familiar to learn the rhythm of a Dark Souls battle in a manner that maybe looked more like a traditional action game to them. However, the game is still very, very hard. But another notable difference, an experiment, is the fact that Bloodborne kinda has a story. Oh sure, it's not a cutscene-laden Final Fantasy epic, but it does actually have something going on. It's interesting the Victorian world that it populates with a bleak look
Good
on
one,
religion.
dumb fuck.
And as you, your character, get more and more
No, but of course your
engrossed,
attack
you
makes
decide to
sense.
experiment with
Why
different
wouldn't it, right?
ideas on the
Oh my God.
environmental storytelling of the Souls games and more direct
Oh my God.
narrative.
Alright, well.
Bloodborne actually went back to the hub world style of Demon Souls, but it's still a massive game in its own right, and the experiments put forward in it had an effect on Dark Souls 3. To call the third Dark Souls game a sum of all previous Souls and Souls-related games would be an understatement. The look of the world evokes Dark Souls 2, but the feel of the design evokes Dark Souls 1. The design feels very open and unencumbered, and it incorporates some of the ideas of Bloodborne, bringing agility into the mix and speeding the pace up a little bit. The ability to dual wield basically everything allows you to have the most customized possible approach to every single battle situation, and also takes a lot in its boss battles from Bloodborne as well. While you do see a lot of Dark Souls style attack, protect, boss battles, you get some more open-ended ideas as well. The hope of the protagonist in this game is to prolong the Age of Fire, which is coming to an end and yields the Age of Dark, engulfing the world in undead. You can feel ideas and concepts from all of the games readily present in Dark Souls 3. And while it's not a perfect game, neither are any of the other ones. And it may not be the toughest of all time, it's certainly the most well-rounded. It's the product of years of experience, and so perfectly fits together concepts from an entire series. My hope is that Dark Souls 3 is not the last Dark Souls game, and for a series that largely doesn't have a specific story that's fairly impressive, Dark Souls 3 is a damn good game. What's your favorite Dark Souls? Let's meet in the comments and talk about that. There's some pretty in-depth arguments to be had about that, so I am very interested in what you have to say. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do just that. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanks.
What's this? Dark Souls? Well, I've heard of it. They say it's pretty hard. But at this point in time, the game's difficulty hasn't been beaten like a dead horse by crappy, unoriginal game journalists. And for those reasons, I'll check it out.
Not this shit again. Go. I can't get away. I'm fucked. Like, fuck, man! Oh my god.
That was pretty much my exact reaction upon starting and completing Dark Souls for the first time. It was the most bizarre feeling I'd gotten after beating a video game. I felt accomplished, yet empty at the same time. I felt like I hadn't even scratched the surface, like I just played through the whole thing wearing a blindfold. I must have missed something. Something that explains what the hell I was doing. I didn't know it at the time, or at any point during my first playthrough. but there was much more to Dark Souls than I could have imagined. Something that has since become so muddled within games journalism, almost like an unintentional smear campaign that's made people forget what truly matters in obtaining Dark Souls and what gave it such a well-known reputation in the first place. Being able to sum up a video game in the words, "It's popular because it's hard, LOL, laugh out loud," is a nice little gimmick if you want to market the game easily to a bunch of people, but it doesn't elaborate on much of anything. Dark Souls has been heralded as one of the greatest games of all time. That is an exclusive club. It's gotten countless awards, spawned a whole franchise and style of games. Sorry, Demon Souls. And has captivated mainstream and hardcore audiences alike. It's done all these things for good reason. And while a good challenge, a hard-to-master difficulty, and a cryptic, open-ended story all played a big role in its success, it doesn't really explain why Dark Souls 1 is so awesome. And that's exactly what I'm here to do.
I can't!
There's been an argument against video games for many years, claiming they aren't true art. Now, if I were to choose one game that I'd force those dickbags to sit down and play from start to finish in hopes of changing their minds, my first choice is Dark Souls and BioShock 1. Because this is the type of experience that you could show an English teacher or a poetry class and they'd be like, yeah, can you make me 50 copies of this exact experience but in novel form so you can go to extreme lengthy discussions about the significance of the penguin? Seriously, that's one of the game's biggest appeals.
I can't!
Stories, the meaning you can find within is not always in plain sight. Dark Souls is no different because you have to take a close look at it to understand what the fuck it's trying to say and what in God's name is going on. Without abstract thinking and interpretation, you won't be able to get much out of Dark Souls' story. From the moment you start in the Undead Asylum to the final showdown with literally Zeus but cooler, the motivations and reasoning behind what you're doing is kept very vague. You're dropped into this huge forsaken world with no real direction except to ring a bell.
There are actually 2 bells of awakening.
Or ring 2 bells, I guess. You might even breeze through the whole game without taking a second to look around and talk to people about item descriptions. Anyways, at surface value, one might look at Dark Souls and think, it's just another generic RPG with dragons, knights, swords, and magic. How many times have we seen that? I bet it was made by British people, too. But then once you start getting into it, it's like, wait a minute, why am I ringing 2 bells? Who the fuck's this asshole? What the shit? Oh, there's demons now? Okay. Man, what's with the goddamn poison? What is this place? I was just in a swamp killing giant mosquitoes, then I find this huge tree, and now I'm on this enormous lake fighting a 7-headed dragon and fucking clams? What am I playing right now? What the hell is that? Why is that dragon look so weird? Why is it breathing crystals and shit? Ah! And it's this idea of not knowing. These questions in your mind that you don't have answers for. This feeling of being out of the loop on everything but the bare essentials that creates this undying morbid curiosity. Shit's pretty fucked up in Lordran, and you want to find out why. That's one of Dark Souls' greatest strengths. It's so atypical in its presentation. Those mainstream games are pretty straightforward in this regard because they need to have a story that babies can understand, which makes it all the more puzzling how Dark Souls was able to appeal to such a wide audience, because you can't go through the game and not be constantly asking questions. The plot is minimalistic, and it's up to the player to come to their own conclusions. You fill in the blanks, and there's a fuck ton of blanks to fill in. You see this Sea of Thieves? That's how you create your own fun. Now, there's always the possibility that by making your story
What's going
vague,
on, man?
it ends up making no sense and being vague and confusing. But then there's the other side where you have a unclear story, but the experience is so enchanting it makes you want to know more.
Would you like to know more?
And that's what Dark Souls accomplishes, so it doesn't fall into the plain old just bad storytelling category. But let's pull back this layer of dragon scales and actually look at what Dark Souls offers within its narrative. Let's take a look at the depth within the onion. I think anytime there's a series of books, movies, TV shows, video games, or whatever, and there's enough interest in the lore and background of that series to fuel 1.2 million subscribers into a YouTube channel, yeah, I think it's safe to say people are interested. The amount of fan theories and lore explanation videos on this series should tell you all you need to know about how involved
fucking
games
God.
are with the story. An interesting tidbit I read was the idea that the item descriptions in-game are actually the player character's thoughts. Probably not true, but some items become much more interesting.
Oh my God.
That's the great thing about interpretive stories, the way you look at it. Dark Souls is fucking deep. You don't need me to tell you that. And there's plenty of reasons why. So many that I don't have time to explain them. Well, for one, ambient music is basically non-existent. There's a total of 4 areas in the entire game, excluding boss battles, where music plays. Firelink Shrine, Daughters of Chaos Bonfire, Guinevere's hot and steamy bedroom, and Ash Lake. If you played through Dark Souls, then you know each one of these areas are vitally important, and the music creates a unique tone and feeling for each one. Sadness and sorrow, hope and faith, magnificence and awe, warm and welcoming. This lack of music creates a feeling of isolation for the majority of the experience. This means there's nothing to distract you from the world you're in. The only things that follow you through Lordran are the sound of your footsteps and clanking armor. That makes those moments when you hear music much more powerful as a result. The combat is deep too, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But what I find to be the single greatest thing about Dark Souls is how everything is connected. Not just in map layout, but in items, bosses, enemies, NPCs. They all connect together to form a greater whole. Take the classic gameplay element of dying and respawning.
Dude.
In pretty much every other video game except
How many
BioShock,
pontiff armors?
the concept of respawning has little to no explanation at all, because it's just a video game. But in Dark Souls, death and respawns aren't just gameplay mechanics, they're part of the story. You are an undead, branded with the dark side, which means you cannot truly die.
How do you kill that which has no life?
But each death brings you closer to hollowing, a concept we'll explore later on. So you're linked to the fire, you are linked to the flame, and as long as there are bonfires, you will keep coming back. It's not often you see a game that has justification for its gameplay mechanics written into its lore. Let me ask you, have you ever thought about what Estus actually is and why it heals you? Most people probably saw it as any other item that restores health, because it's just a video game. Hearts, potions, medkits, food, magical green.
Punished every time.
A harmonious melody. Games never explain why you get healed from this shit, because it really doesn't matter. But in Dark Souls, it does. Estus is bottled fire, people. That's why it refills at the bonfire. You capture the flame in your flask. Dark Souls is about disparity between life and death, fire and darkness, and the bonfires are beacons of light. Miracles come from Gwyn and his faithful knights. Pyromancy comes from the Witch of Islay and their daughters
Oh
of
man, I
Chaos.
fucking
And
hate
sorcery
it.
comes from Siege the Dankless.
Fuck
Gameplay tools have
you.
reason to be in the game beyond their immediate use. You could run through a list of items, mechanics, tools, and weapons and connect each one of them to pieces to form the greater whole of Dark Souls' universe, story, and lore. And that's the beauty of this game. That's where the depth comes from.
No, no, no.
Now the story, meaning, and purpose
I'm gonna
behind
die
Dark Souls is
again?
rooted in
Really?
obscurity and has plenty of room for different interpretations. But while I could turn this video into something that discusses nothing but the lore for 40 plus minutes, I'm more or less going to highlight what I think are the most important themes or messages that Dark Souls tries to hammer home.
Whatever.
The things I learned.
That makes sense!
Your thoughts as well. So we have the basic premise of the player being an undead in
Dude,
an asylum,
what?
where they're all corralled to await the end of the world.
This is your fate.
Well, that's a pretty shitty
Cool,
fate
man.
right there.
Whatever.
But homeboy Oscar breaks you out because
Oh my
he's
God.
the prophet, the chosen undead. was to travel to Lordran and ring
Not
the
again.
bells of the
Not these
Awakening.
fucking bitches
Do
again.
that.
No.
So right off the bat,
No,
what's
dude.
gonna happen to the undead? What's gonna happen to us? All these NPCs, all these, roaming hollows? That question is put into your mind from the very beginning. Cutscenes are rare, and none are more jam-packed with information than the opening. What this scene showcases is how man came to be, how they became gods, how they took the world by storm and destroyed the previous regime to create their own. When fire was created, we learned of our existence. We strove to discover, explore, and build. And we found soul in the flame, metaphorically and physically. Incidentally, you could look at the real world as primitive man as arguably the most revolutionary thing to happen in the history of human beings. Once we found fire, the world was forever changed around us.
But remember one thing. Always fear the flame, lest you be devoured by it and lose yourself. I would hate to see that happen again.
So much of what Dark Souls presents is relatable to the real world. You can interpret the idea of prolonging the Age of Fire or ushering in the Age of Dark as a message on the rise and fall of civilizations. For example, the Roman Empire thrived for centuries, but eventually its flames faded. And despite their best efforts to keep the Age of Romans alive, nothing could stop the coming dark. How long will our age last? The old Roman deities were cast aside, replaced with a new god and his son. Just as you can become the harbinger of a new age in Dark Souls, the Age of Dark. The typical Lord of Darkness trope in fantasy stories works better in the world of Lordran than most other stories. I really enjoy the ambiguity of the endings because it's great for speculation. And what I saw in these endings is that they are rooted in polar opposite ideas, that of self-sacrifice and self-preservation, martyrdom or apathy. But as we all know,
apathy is death.
Maybe Dark Souls is meant to portray the calamity and hopelessness of knowing the empire, the civilization you serve, the place you call home is coming to an end. How do you deal with the coming dread? In this sense, the undead and the dark could be seen as the always present threat of a tide of people who are bound to one day replace your way of life with their own.
Oh, heretic, swathed in dark, an eternal curse upon thee.
This theme of different ages collapsing and rising is present in both sequels, which means it's definitely something the designers wanted you to think about. One theme that sticks out very well in the Dark Souls experience is perseverance. Individually, the undead, or humans, are weak, fragile creatures. The enemies that don't outmatch you in size will simply outnumber you. Throughout the game, you encounter several bodies with helpful items, and while most of them could be looked at as simply items left by the developers for the player, I see a deeper meaning. Because why is it that most every item you find is tied to a corpse? Isn't that strange? It's because every one of those things was left behind by the person who died there. Individually, you suck. But as more and more undead travel to fulfill the prophecy, as undead are caught in the crossfire of all these colliding forces, at some point or another they finally succumb. So as you journey through Lordran, you encounter greater souls, better items, stronger weapons, all from others who made it farther than the last. Even in death, the undead that came before you are helping you by leaving something useful behind. You essentially get the accrued knowledge, weapons, skills, equipment, and items of every single traveler or unfortunate soul in Lordran. Because you are destined to succeed where others have failed. You're the main character, after all.
As I explained earlier, I'm the main character.
The chosen undead. But this also ties in with the game's difficulty. As an undead, finding purpose and striving towards a goal is what keeps you from hollowing. A slow process where a person loses their mind and sanity. Every gamer's goal when playing Dark Souls is to beat it. But what of those who never did? What of those who ran up against a wall they couldn't climb, a tower they couldn't scale? They became the hollows of Lordran. You see, you only become hollow when you quit. So by persevering through failure, you, the chosen undead, will feel great satisfaction when you overcome those challenges that gave you so much trouble. You will run up against an enemy that seems unbeatable. You will die.
These
You
people
will
up.
fail. But it doesn't
Clean
matter how many
slate,
times
got
you are
up,
slain,
walked around.
how massive and impossible the road ahead might seem.
I'm ready.
Because so long as you push against the inevitable and learn from failure, you will survive in Lordran and you will survive the real world. And you'll come out stronger than before. Take
Come
on the
on.
next challenge.
Oh, fuck.
Hollowing in the Dark Souls universe is one of the coolest concepts I've ever seen a game present. It's a microcosm of losing your purpose in the real world. It can also be seen as a metaphor for depression. Those that go hollow submit to their darkest feelings, their sadness, dread. They give up, lose themselves. Life is about overcoming challenges, solving problems, and carving some meaning out of your existence. What value does a person's life have if they don't strive to accomplish something? What satisfaction do you get from life when there are no problems to solve? Just as characters go hollow in Dark Souls, you too would go hollow in the real world if you did nothing with your life. There's far more to this game than meets the eye, and it's because of its open-ended